Hello, you are listening to A Woman's Guide, episode 28. Do you engage in self-neglecting behaviors as a result of depression? Can you identify and recognize why and when you are doing it? And what can be done to improve self-care in the midst of depression? Today's episode is Depression and Self-Neglect. Stay tuned. This is A Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Wholeness After Sexual Abuse. For all of you listening, welcome to the show. I'm Simone, your confidant and guide. Thank you for tuning in. So, depression and self-neglect. This is somewhat of a part 2 to the episodes that I made about self-neglect, which is between 11 and 13. Okay, 11 to 13. I would say it's more of a part 2, but it's more specified to depression, which I'm speaking about in this mini trilogy or series, okay? Because I like to have a little bit of a mini series for every topic I speak about. Most topics I speak about. Okay, so self-neglect. Now, this is something that I've understood and seen, and I've gone through as well, is that self-neglect many of the times occurs when you are in some kind of depressive state, or you're depressed on some level, okay? Self-neglect in the physical, within our bodies, our environments, and relationships, but that's not technically self-neglect, that's just neglect. But yes, it can manifest in, how you fix your room, or whether you don't fix your room, or you're neglectful of your environment, you're neglectful of your relationships. So personally, we can neglect our minds and our bodies, and this can worsen and create more problems for us, okay, on top of what we're already enduring. Okay, so neglecting, this is why it's not good, because you are already in a bad state of mind, emotionally and mentally, and you do not want to create more issues for yourself by neglecting yourself consciously, or maybe you don't consciously know you are doing it, but you don't want to make things worse because you are not taking care of yourself. You're deciding to not take care of yourself. Okay, so I'm going to take some of those topics or specific issues or specific neglectful behaviors and expand upon them in this episode. So past episodes like lack of good self-care by under-eating, lack of adequate food. Okay, so you're just under-eating, or you're eating the wrong things and you're not eating adequately. Purposely avoiding sleep, poor hygiene and grooming. And of course, I'm going to get to the purposely avoiding sleep, but just wait to hear what I have to say about that, okay? Because that can sound kind of dumb right now, but wait until what I have to say about that. We can also neglect, and this is a point that I added in, or this is something that I added in, but I realize this is a really big thing that we do, is we neglect our need for love, help, support, and attention. That's something I think a lot of us do. And because I gave you a lot of points in those episodes between 11 and 13, I'm just really pretty much going to expand upon it or briefly review it, okay, and how it manifests, and just expand a little bit upon it, in light of this subject. And, just tweak it and give different points that I find to pertain to depression. Self-neglect in depression, okay? So let's talk about under-eating and neglecting food. That is a big one. That's a one big sign of depression, is under-eating. Unless you have something else going on within yourself where you don't have that chemical. But that also could be caused by depression too, but you can have, aside from that, you can have some kind of chemical imbalance or deficiency of something of some sort within yourself that does not cause you to feel hungry or have appetite, so you just tend to not eat. So that's a real condition. I know that for a fact. But anyway, let's get back to what I'm saying. Okay, so regardless of whether it's dysthymia, which I was explaining in my last episode. You may want to watch that if it's your first episode you're watching. This is to chronic or major depression. However, the depression manifests most of the times. Um, one of the major symptoms, one of the major symptoms is the decrease or sometimes increase in appetite. Okay, but in this case, we're going to be talking about the decrease in appetite. The increase in appetite, or not, I wouldn't say the increase, but yes, the increase in appetite, the overeating, the tendency to overeat. And it doesn't really mean that there's an increase, it's just that you tend to overeat. So you don't really feel necessarily more hungry, you just know that you just want more food, right? But anyway, that's going to be the next episode, which is depression and overindulgence. Okay, but anyway, with undereating and neglecting food, when it comes to depression, our thought life, are the distressing thoughts such as shame and guilt, hopelessness, and despair can affect our bodies and how it functions. It really does. Okay? Everything is connected within your body and within your mind. And I know that if you, depending on whether you have chronic depression, it can cause nausea. It can cause you to feel nauseous. Okay? Because perhaps your immune system and your digestive system are not working at its optimum because of the flux and the changes within your body, and because of your mind, and your mind is connected to your GI system and your depression and your digestive system. It's all connected, right? So this can cause nausea, and that can affect appetite. When you are nauseous, you're not going to want to eat anything because you're nauseous. You don't feel good. You feel sick. And perhaps if you were someone to feel nauseous while you were, nauseous while you were eating or after you're eating, it's going to turn you off from wanting to eat, right? If you feel nauseous before you're about to eat, or you feel nauseous while you're eating or after you're eating, or maybe you perhaps even vomit afterwards, that's going to affect your appetite. That's going to diminish your appetite. You're not going to want that. And I know that specifically when we're having very, very strong feelings, negative strong feelings, it somehow our body goes, I wouldn't say necessarily to the point of fight or flight mode, but different parts of our body start to shut down. I know specifically for the stomach and the digestion, things start to shut down, or they don't work adequately enough. They work inadequately. It shuts down a little bit. It shuts down on some level, and this can, this does not this does not enable you to eat food. You cannot eat food, or you do not have that appetite. You do not have that increase in appetite, and therefore you don't eat. Okay. So that is one of the reasons why you may undereat and neglect food, and also because the fatigue of the body. This is another thing, because the fatigue of the body, that is a major symptom. Fatigue of the body that accompanies depression. It affects your ability to get up and prepare meals, or to think of, meals that you want to prepare. It just seems overwhelming, and it seems fatiguing to want to get up and prepare meals, cook, and to have an overall disinterest in cooking with other activities than once was pleasurable. Yeah, so that is the main reasons why you may overeat and neglect food with depression. So what can you do to improve appetite and eating habits? Well, I really think that scheduling is very important. I think I speak about scheduling a lot. Pre-planning your meals. This is going back to that episode in earlier on into the podcast. Okay, so pre-planning your meals, scheduling your meals is easier for you to eat. Prepare and eat smaller meals. Prepare and eat smaller meals. Okay, eat smaller portions, because it's easier to prepare smaller portions, and it may be easier for you to digest or ingest smaller portions because of perhaps of your body having nausea, or having general discomfort within you, okay? So prepare and eat smaller meals. Don't make anything extravagant or too hard to prepare, because you want to do something as quickly as possible. You want to have something as small as possible. And also, eating smaller meals are just, um, well, like I said, it's easier on the body, and it encourages you over time, um, within yourself. You get adjusted to eating it, and then it helps to increase your appetite, because you're eating smaller meals often. So you're getting used to doing that. If you just have a big meal every 5 hours or every 10 hours, I mean, your body is not going to respond very well, because, first of all, it's adjusting to you not eating. So then when you start to eat and then you eat a whole bunch of food, you're going to have a negative reaction physically. You're probably going to get turned off. You're not going to feel good about eating that food, okay? You don't even have the desire to eat the food. So if you have smaller meals, um, easier, prepared meals, it can help to encourage you to eat more often. And this is another point that I need to say is that you need to eat nutrient dense foods. Stay away from junk foods. Stay away from junk. Try to stay away from junk. Salty, sweetie, salty, sweet, or greasy, high calorie foods, empty carb meals. Those are things where you're having junk foods, you're having, um, white flour, white sugar, those type of things, chips and, candies and sweets, and, stay away from that, because it actually makes you feel worse. I'm pretty sure I've explained this over and over again, at least in a couple episodes, particularly in the other episode, that same episode about neglecting food, right? But it can make you feel worse, because it's gonna, first of all, with sweets, with empty carbs, it's going to spike you up very, very quickly, your energy levels very quickly, and then it's going to drop you down without any warning. And that is going to further crash and further worsen your fatigue and your bad feelings and your issues, because when you have foods that are not nutrient dense, or they're not good for your body and good for your mind, it's going to make you feel worse. Bad foods are going to make you feel worse. There's a reason why they're called junk foods, okay? But like I'm saying, I explained all of that already. It's not something that I haven't talked about. Okay, so also with those foods that are not good for you, it does not allow for the recovery, the healing, or the betterment of your symptoms. It does not. When you have better foods, it heals you. It's better to heal you. Okay, so you might want to go back to the last episode, which was 27, so you can figure out, or you can find the certain types of foods that are better for you, better for your recovery, better for alleviating the symptoms, better to get you back on track on a very physical level. Okay, so eat omega 3s mainly, um, vitamin C, E, D, proteins. Meal supplements are very good too, okay? Especially if you're having fatigue. You may want to have meal replacements, or what they call meal replacements. That can help to restore the lost nutrients or vitamins or minerals that's within your body that you lost from, not eating, or eating inadequately, or not eating often enough, okay? So that can help to boost you up and prop you up, and, especially when things are too overwhelming, you can find, meal replacements to be helpful. Meal replacements can be very helpful. And something like Ensure, I think Ensure is one of those examples of a meal replacements. I've hardly ever had any meal replacement. I've literally had it like probably twice in my entire life. Like I've never had it really. Okay, I don't think I've really had it more than twice in my entire life. Like I've never really eaten it or drunk it. Okay, so it's not something that I'm accustomed to or used to. But yes, that's there. I forgot to say that's there. There's other different things that you can have that are easier and lighter to manage and prepare, that are nutrient dense, that are just easier for your body to handle and better for your well-being in and your recovery. Okay? Now let's get into avoiding sleep and neglecting sleep. Okay? And this is another issue that's a part of depression. But first of all, let me clear up, okay, that having difficulty sleeping, sleep disturbances, or insomnia is a symptom of depression. So it's not the fact that you are neglecting sleep, it's the fact that you cannot sleep, okay? And of course, the reason why you have these difficulties is because, first of all, you're out of whack. The chemicals in your mind are out of whack. The hormones within your body are possibly out of whack. And depending on what's causing the depression, it's out of whack. And this can result in agitation and restlessness and shakiness, disturbing, and of course we have disturbing thoughts alone, which can keep you up at night. Disturbing thoughts of guilt and shame, resentment, hopelessness, that's not going to leave your mind good, in a good state, and it's not going to leave it clear to settle down to sleep. So it could be, really physically, chemically, hormonally, the result that you're having, the physical symptoms that you're having from this depression that you cannot quite control at this point. And that can stem from your disturbing thoughts, or it could just be a part of some kind of hormonal imbalance or chemical imbalance or something else that's going on in your body in a very physical way. So that's not going to help you settle down to sleep. Also, when you have like other physical issues and symptoms like pains, like the headaches, migraines, a back pain, neck pain, things like that, that's going to prevent you from sleeping. That's not going to make you feel settled enough within your body because your body's racked with pain. So you can't really sleep. So it can get to a point in which you are so accustomed to and fed up with trying to sleep that you just give up. You just say, all right, well, I can't sleep anyway, so I might as well not do it. You know what I mean? The most I can get is 2 hours. Why bother sleep those 2 hours? Or why bother try? Because I'm not going to sleep. And of course, when you have that belief and you think, okay, I'm not going to sleep, it's not going to happen, then you're not really going to sleep. You're not going to sleep because you're not going to allow yourself mentally. And then physically, you're going to demonstrate that belief by not sleeping at all. Okay? So, you just give it up. You just give it up and neglect it altogether. And of course, this becomes a problem because it's going to worsen the issue. You need all the sleep you can get. You need all the sleep you can get. You need it. And it's not going to promote wellness if you're going to sit there and say, okay, well, I can't sleep anyway, so I'm not going to sleep. Well, you can find ways. I mean, of course, there are, so this is some points to improve the issue, okay, and some things that you want to think about. And of course, just know that rest and sleep is essential to your healing and your well-being. So if you're thinking that you don't need sleep, well, guess what? You're probably worsening the issue because when you don't sleep, you're going to feel worse. You're going to feel worse. You're going to exacerbate the issue, the irritation, the agitation, the feelings of depression and loneliness and sadness. You're going to exacerbate that, okay? So you need to understand that. Meditation and deep breathing, I keep talking about that, but it's very good because it helps to soothe your mind and it helps to clear your mind. And what's the word? It's scientific proof that meditation actually helps with depression. It helps to ease depression. It can fight depression, or not fight. I don't like to use the word fight. Like, it just helps to relieve you of a lot of those things that are in your mind that will cause depression. It actually physically alters the chemicals in your mind. It physically alters the structure, and I think I've said that before. So meditation is very good. It's healing. It's very healing. Okay, so you may want to take a natural or herbal sleeping aid, or if you just want to take something that's prescription, you can do that too. That can help with sleeping. I know it helps for me. I know it helps with me. Okay? Talk to yourself, positive affirmations, program your mind, you know what I mean? Program your mind, do the best you can to program your mind to think a certain way before you go to bed, because everything that you think before you go to bed affects your sleep. Okay, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you're agitated and irritated and angry and upset before you go to bed, you're not going to have a very restful sleep, because that stays there and it circles in your mind and it further It stays in your mind. I mean, you may be sleeping, but that stuff is circling in your mind and it's creating a whole bunch of havoc in your mind. And sometimes you may wake up halfway through your sleep and you're in a cold sweat, or you're anxious, or you're nervous, or you're feeling like crap because of those thoughts. So talk to yourself, positive affirmations, program your mind. I would refer you back to episode 11. Perhaps there's some more information you can get, or some other things that I've said in addition to what I said here, that can help. Okay? So the next part is personal hygiene and grooming. Okay, personal hygiene and grooming. Okay, so I would say this can mainly occur from feelings of unworthiness, shame, guilt, and hopelessness. You know, you have this what's the point attitude, and I'm not good enough, or who cares about me, or nobody cares about me, or life is not worth living. And I think with this point I would say that it's gotten to the point where, yeah, you know, this is a chronic major type of depression symptom where you just feel like, okay, maybe I would say it's a warning sign for suicide. Like I would say that. But some people are different. Some people, you may not be like suicidal per se, but you can still be, you know, you can still be neglecting your physical care and physical and your personal hygiene and grooming, perhaps because of maybe in addition to how you were raised, or in addition to what you are accustomed to, but it's not necessarily that it's that bad. But anyway, I would say the majority of the time it's because of there's feelings of unworthiness, shame, and guilt, and hopelessness. Also, the lack of energy to perform tasks, you know, can affect your personal care and grooming. The lack of energy to perform tasks can affect your personal care. Because, I mean, if you do not have a lot of energy, you're not going to want to get up and brush your hair, or iron your clothes, or take a shower, because you're tired. You're tired. You're very tired. You're depressed. You're fatigued. Okay? That's gonna that's going to disrupt that thing for you to go and, you know, take care of your body. As well as that, in addition to, you have a lack of desire to do anything. Perhaps, you know, you used to like to fix yourself up, or fix yourself in a certain way, or do things that, you know what I mean, you like to make yourself, beautify yourself, and you like to put yourself a certain way, but because you are depressed, you don't have a desire to do that. You just lost interest. Okay? So, you know, you fixing up yourself and doing, you know, doing all the things to make yourself feel better, personally, in your personal appearance, I mean, that's going to go right out the window because you don't really care. It doesn't matter to you. It doesn't make any difference. So you stop. So, in addition, all of those things in addition can create this ability, not create this ability, but can result in your lack of personal self care. Okay, so anyway. Oh, and also, I forgot the other point. There's another point, but if you, let's say, have fogginess, or trouble concentrating, your mind is just not well, in terms of it's not clear and crisp and focused. It's impaired. Your memory's impaired. Okay, your judgment's impaired. I mean, that's also going to prevent you from doing that because you don't remember, or you're not thinking about it, or you don't, you know what I mean? Your mind is just not in the space to think about what it is you need to do personally for yourself. So you just stop doing it, or you just don't remember to do it. Okay? So the combination of all those reasons, you know, is going to cause you to neglect yourself on a very physical level. Okay, so I've devised a few points, and of course, like I said, in addition to episode 13, you can review and go back to that episode and listen to that as well. But here are some points to improve, you know, personal grooming and hygiene under the issue of depression. So that, okay, so the first point is, know that the lack of personal self care and your personal appearance as a result will only serve to deepen your already existing feelings, okay, that would cause you to express it in neglect. Just know that. So what I'm saying is that, okay, your lack of personal self-care is going to already illuminate, it's going to further illuminate those feelings that you already have about yourself. So if you feel worthless and you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to deepen those feelings of worthlessness. Yeah, that's what it's going to do, because however you take care of yourself is however you feel about yourself, and however you choose um, to care for yourself physically is going to have a direct um, it's going to have a direct effect on how you see yourself as a result of what you are physically doing. So just aside from whatever is going on inside of your brain. So what I'm saying is that, say if you have a pretty good self-esteem and you have pretty good self-confidence and you're taking care of yourself and you're doing whatever you need to do, but then for some reason or the other you just stop taking care of yourself and you stop brushing your hair, washing your hair, brushing your teeth, doing anything for yourself physically that you should be doing, that's going to affect your self-confidence and your self-esteem. It's going to, just physically what you're doing to yourself. So if you're already feeling badly about yourself and then you're neglecting yourself, you're just going to worsen, okay? You're going to deepen those feelings already. You're going to deepen the feelings that you have already. It's going to make things worse. Okay? It's going to make things worse. And I think I did speak about that on some level in that episode, that other episode that I did. So sometimes you should put in extra attention. Just put a little bit more extra attention and care and effort and importance into self-care. Okay, just put a little bit extra. Put a little bit extra attention, effort, and importance in self-care. Personal hygiene and grooming. Okay, so put a little bit more. And it can help you to put you into a better place mentally. Okay? It really can. It can really help to put you into a better place emotionally, mentally and emotionally, if you put a little extra self-care. Because how you feel, how you fix yourself, or how you treat yourself on the outside will reflect how you feel on the inside too. So sometimes it's physically physically manipulating something so that it can reflect what's going on in your mental space. Not to say that you're going to cure everything, because I really think that in addition to you investigating and figuring out the reasons and the causes of your depression, I mean the specific cause, and you working on the mental and emotional part of yourself, okay, whatever it is that you need to figure out or think about or acknowledge within yourself, that's going to help with alleviating, or not alleviating, but just healing yourself, so that you don't get to the point, or you don't continue in this place where you are neglecting yourself. Do you understand? So it's a combination. The next point is to solicit or ask for help for those things that are overwhelming. Okay? Solicit and ask for help for those things that are overwhelming, or just those tasks of personal self-care that you find a little bit overwhelming, perhaps because you're really just not in that space of mind. It's really hard for you to do some things, or you just cannot find the energy to do it. You can solicit help. I mean, if you have a family member or a friend or someone that can, for example, wash your hair for you, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't mind, you know what I mean? If it's something like, let's say once a week, they come in, they help to wash your hair, or maybe you have a friend that's a hairdresser that can do it for you, or something else, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's okay to ask for help, especially if you are dealing with something really heavy and really deep, you know what I mean? It's okay to ask for help sometimes. And also you can find easier alternatives in the meantime. Just a time where you're healing and you're trying to become a little bit more productive and functionable in your life, you might want to find all easier alternatives. And I don't really know. I'm trying to figure out like an example I can say, which is an easier alternative to something that you may do that you find overwhelming. So, you know, sometimes if you cannot wash your hair, I'm going to stick with the hair thing. If you cannot wash your hair, you cannot find the ability or the time to wash your hair. Not time, but you just can't find the energy to do so. Maybe you want to do a dry shampoo or something like that. I mean, they've invented something like that. So maybe you want to find a drier way to cleanse your hair, or which means is an easier alternative to cleansing yourself or cleansing your scalp or your hair. You might want to find an easier alternative. Okay, I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, there's different things that you can do to help, to help you cope or help you make things easier for you as you deal with this time or this difficult issue. Okay. Anyway, so the next point, the last point, or the last section, which is what we do to neglect ourselves, is we neglect our need for care, attention, support, and love. This is a big one. I think, a lot of people, a lot of us, not just people who've gone through certain things, but a lot of us, we neglect our need for care, attention, and support and love. And I'll tell you the reasons for this is because that of the hopelessness, perhaps, that you feel. You maybe have what's the use attitude. You think that, all is lost and all can never be repaired and helped and healed. Okay, so you do not believe that you can be helped. You do not think that you can be helped or things can improve or get better, especially with this, with the support and the love that others have for you. You know, so things we can, so we can think that, it's just not, nothing's going to happen. It's not worth it. It's all is lost. And no one can understand and no one gets it and nobody can help us because all is lost. And of course that's a distortion because yes, people can help you. But anyway, another point is that we feel alone. Okay? We feel alone in our plight or our issue, and that we are alone. We feel alone and that we are alone. So therefore, the help that people are trying to give us remains invalid or useless. We just have within our own mind that we are alone. We are alone. We feel alone and we are alone. So therefore, there's no help anyway. We might even lie to ourselves and say, you know what, there's no help. There's no help. Or that the help that we are being given is invalid or useless because we are the only ones that know and we are the only ones that are going through it. So how can their help be valid? It can't be valid because I'm feeling this way. They don't know what that feels like. So that's another way we can kind of sabotage ourselves and neglect ourselves. As well as, in the other point is that the guilt and shame and the worthlessness that you may feel, okay, it does not have you feeling qualified or deserving of other people's support and love. And I mean, like, going back to guilt and shame is when you feel like you're just not worthy of things. You feel, overly conscious. You feel bad about yourself. You don't think you're good enough. Okay? So that's going to cause you to not feel deserving of support and love from other people. That can be a big barrier to it. And I know I always make the connection. Sexual abuse. If you sit there and have feelings of guilt, shame, and worthlessness, and that's probably what is causing the depression within you, okay? And you have that, and so you're having this block because you're having these feelings of guilt, shame, and worthlessness. It's gonna make you think, okay, well, I not only do people not understand, not only is there no help, but I don't deserve love, or there's no love for me. There's no love for me, or I don't deserve love and attention and support. Okay? Sexual abuse is what is going to cause you to feel unworthy of love and attention. And I find that many times, and this is what I've just observed, but I find that with people who have gone through sexual abuse, we build this wall around ourselves, okay? So we create an aversion. We create an aversion. Sorry, my words like to slur sometimes. We create an aversion to intimacy. That means that we reject it. We stay away from it. We shrink back from it. We don't take it. Okay? It creates an aversion to the intimacy that other people have for us, okay, or want to give to us. In other words, we don't trust them. We don't trust anybody. That's why we create this wall. So that's going to create this, block from the attention, care, and love that we deserve because we're blocking it out. Because of all these things that's going on inside of ourselves, we're blocking it out. So then you tend to isolate yourself because you don't trust people and because you're blocking out this love and support and care for other people. You isolate yourself, so mentally, emotionally, and physically, in an attempt to protect yourself. And what does that do? That just creates more depression. That deepens your depression. That worsens your depression because you don't really, not really, you don't need to be alone all the time when you are depressed. You should not, be alone all the time when you're depressed. It's going to make things worse. It's going to make things worse. So when you isolate yourself, of course you're going to be depressed. On top of all of this stuff, it's just a vicious cycle. You're going to isolate yourself mentally, emotionally, physically in attempt to protect yourself. But you protecting yourself is just going to create more depression. It's going to create or solidify those ideas that people don't know what you're going through. Of course they don't know what you're going through because you're keeping it to yourself. It's going to deepen your feelings of guilt and shame and unworthiness because you're always in this stage. You're always stuck in this space. When you're stuck in this space and you have these things circling around in your head over and over and over again, you're not going to get out of it because you're just living in this matrix of I'm guilty, I'm shameful, I'm unworthy, nobody understands, I'm alone, but that's only because you're making yourself alone. You're cutting yourself off from other people. Okay, so that's going to make you feel more lonely. That's going to make you feel more, um, hopeless. And then you're going to really think that you can't be helped because you're going through all of these layers and all these different emotions that are not going to help with your situation. So anyway, yeah, it's like, it's a really difficult thing, and I totally understand. I totally get it because I've gone through these things, okay? And I still deal with some of these things on a very what's the word? On a very benign level, on a very mild level. It's not anywhere near to how it was before, but I still deal with it. So I understand. I understand why you may think that you don't deserve love and support and care and attention, or you think nobody loves you, or you think that other people may never understand you, or you think that you cannot be helped, or you think whatever. Okay? I understand it. I get it. Okay? So this is not to make you feel bad about anything. I just want to pinpoint and make you understand that you cannot continue to do it that way because it's just going to make you feel worse. It's going to deepen your depression. It's just going to make you feel worse about everything in yourself. It's counterproductive, and it does not help to aid in your healing and your recovery. So, like, especially if you've gone through something like sexual abuse, okay? Because I can't just assume, perhaps you have not. You listener, maybe you have not. Because I'm talking to other listeners too, but I'm trying to specifically talk to you. But I don't know exactly who you are. But anyway, we, you may possibly feel if you've been sexually abused or you've been put into a situation where you've always been by yourself or you've had to endure some kind of traumatic event yourself, you feel like you must do everything yourself and bear it all and endure it all just within yourself. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like the way that you were in, you developed this pattern or this pathology that, okay, I have to do everything myself. I have to endure it all myself, no matter how much I'm suffering, no matter how much this is painful. You just develop this idea that, and the abuse is long done, okay? Whatever it is, it's gone. But you continue on with keeping things to yourself. You continue on with hurting yourself in secret. You continue to think that you cannot be helped. You continue to think that you have to endure everything yourself, all by yourself, all the time. No, it's not true. Especially when you're violated or you're used or you're abused in secret, right? Especially in secret, because that's what's going to keep you in secret suffering, right? When something is done in secrecy, and especially if it's done for a long time, you just develop this thing where I have to suffer in silence. I have to be dealing with this by myself, in myself, by myself, behind the garment of shame and guilt, okay? Anyway, so that's the main reasons why we may neglect love, attention, support, and help from other people. Okay, so the point, I'm going to give you some points to help with understanding your needs and allowing the love and the support and attention you deserve, okay? So these are just things to think about. Of course, it's just things that you can think about. So the first point is that know that you cannot do it alone. You can't do it alone. At some point, at some time, you will need help and support. At some point, sometime, you're going to need love, help, and support, okay? At some point. I mean, you cannot think that you can do it all by yourself, bear it all by yourself, do it all by yourself at some point. No, 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 no. We are social beings and we're wired to interact and communicate with others. So it's our innate need for connection. That's just how it goes. On a very humanistic level, it's our innate need to be connected with other people. So if you think you're going to do most things by yourself or do it all by yourself, to yourself, with yourself, like, you're going to burn out at some point. You're going to get to the point where, of course, you're depressed or you feel hopeless or you feel suicidal because you can't do it all by yourself. You can't bear it all by yourself. You need help, sometimes emotionally, mentally, physically. You need help at some point to have other people bear this weight with you. And it's not to say that you're sitting there putting yourself on other people and you're not, doing what you need to do for yourself, but it's just that you you don't want to say that you have to endure it by yourself and you cannot you cannot heal or you cannot deal or grow or become better with the aid of other people, okay? So the next point is know that and be aware that you are conditioned. You were conditioned somehow. If you think that you're not deserving of love, attention, care, and support, uh, of that point, okay? If you feel that way, you need to understand that at some point you were conditioned through your experiences to believe that you cannot or should not have, you should not or have the need or you are undeserving of love, help, and support and attention. Okay? Somewhere down the line, something taught you that. Most likely it's because you were treated in a bad situation or treated in a bad, you're treated badly at some point. You're in a bad situation, you're abused or used or violated, or perhaps somebody just told you that, and you believed it. So I understand that, that's a lie. You were conditioned that way, but it's a lie. You need to dismantle the lie of you believing that you're not deserving, because you are. They are not true. Okay, those are not true lies. I mean, those are not true statements, or that's not a true belief. Okay, it's not true. Whether you believe it or not, people do care about you. It may not be the people you think do. It may not be every single person that's in your life, but someone, somewhere, or some people care about you. Someone cares about you. They really do. Okay, so the next point is when someone wants to help you or assist you or support you in some way, let them. That can be a very weird thing for you to accept, or something very uncomfortable for you to accept, especially if you've been doing everything yourself, especially if you've never been used to having support and help. When someone wants to help, wants to support or help you, you need to let them. You got to let them. Remind yourself of these things. Remind yourself that you deserve love, help, and support. Okay, so remind yourself of these things and accept their help. Accept whatever form it comes in. Accept it and allow it into your life. And as you continue to do that, you get used to it, right? So we are all here, and you need to understand we are all here to help each other and serve each other, and understand that the cycle of life and the law of giving and receiving, it needs to complete itself. It needs to come to completion in itself with your receiving, okay? So what I'm saying is, in other words, is that you should not get to the point in your life where you think that you must be giving, 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 giving. And it's not, we're not just speaking about financial or monetary things or gifts or physical items. I'm just speaking about, like, if you are giving your love and attention and support, and you're helping people, and you give them a listening ear, and you give them a shoulder to cry on, that you shouldn't get that back. You should get that back. You know, that's the law of giving and receiving. You should get that back. And you must get it back. And sometimes people are giving it to you, but you are so blocked up and blocked out, and you're putting up your fences and you're putting up your walls, and you're trying to protect yourself and isolate yourself from some threat, that you don't receive it. You don't receive the love that's there for you. You don't receive the love that is there for you. Okay? So sometimes you need to complete the cycle by receiving. I mean, a lot of people talk about giving, 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 even though most people don't give. They just receive. They like to receive, but they don't really give, you know, the way they should. But I'm saying it's not a very popular thing to hear someone say that maybe you should be doing more receiving. Maybe you should be doing some more receiving. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And also, the very last point that I want you to know is that know that you are love. So know that you are love. You know, the love that you're trying to block out, and the love that you don't think you are love. And others are too. So what you deserve and what you are to receive is love too. Because that's what you are. Why shouldn't you? It's like, the way that I see it, it's like a magnet and a metal. You know what I mean? Or you have like a really big magnet and then a little piece of metal, and the metal is attracted to the magnet because the magnet and the metal are one of the same. Those atoms are attracted to each other because they are congruent with each other, because they are one of the same. So they just attract, right? So it's the same thing with you in love. You are love. And the love that you really, the love that you are, and the love that you emit is making its way back to you, but maybe you don't recognize it. Maybe you block it out. And the other point is, it's your buried desire, whether you want to believe it or not. Every person on this planet, okay? And it may not seem this way, but every person on this planet has a desire for love, okay? So with you, your buried desire beneath all the bunch of distortions and the lies and all the experiences that taught you that you are not love or you don't deserve love, okay, and everything that and this desire that was repressed, okay, perhaps years ago, is still there, and it's your desire for love and connection and acceptance and understanding and support for who you are. Yeah. Every person on this planet wants love. Everybody. It may not seem that way because of their behavior. It may not seem that way because of what they say, but everybody has this deep desire to be loved. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to be connected and supported with each other. Everybody does. I just know that because we're all love. We're all created from love, so that's what we are. Even the animals, all the animals are love. You know what I'm saying? They connect with each other and it's all the same. It's all the same. So just know that you are love, okay? So, hopefully you found that helpful. And once again, if you haven't watched episode, let's say 13, um, uh, 11 to 13, I would say 11 to 13, not just 11 to 13. So, when I was previously talking about self neglect, um, it can provide a good prerequisite to this episode, perhaps. So, yeah, so that's it. That's all I have for you today. And thanks for listening to A Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Wholeness After Sexual Abuse. Okay, so if there's anyone that you know who may benefit from this show, don't hesitate to share it. Okay, so next week we will explore the opposite of this, which is, what I just spoke about, which is self-neglect, and we're going to go into overindulgence. So we're going to explore depression and overindulgence. So be sure to tune in, and until next time, take care.